Hello, Year 7. Today's lesson is on the best of British, obviously in relation to food. It's your food lesson. So we'll quickly have a whiz through the objectives. So we're still on that same learning aim of identifying the different reasons for choosing food. Primarily today we're looking at explaining some of the different social and cultural influences on food choice. More specifically, developing your understanding of how British cuisine has developed historically, and learning about some of the ingredients, cooking methods and origins of some of our kind of favourite British dishes. So just as a quick little starter, British cuisine has been described as unfussy dishes made with quality local ingredients matched with simple sauces to accentuate flavour rather than disguise it. For your task, I would just want you to list down some dishes that you think might match this description. Aim for 5, just spend kind of 60 seconds, so pause the video now. Fantastic, hopefully you've got 5 dishes written down. Starter number 2, just as a kind of a fun little quick one, I just want you to have a go unscrambling these 10 British dishes. Some are a bit simpler than others, and some are more kind of a food product rather than a whole dish. So this will probably take you 3 or 4 minutes, so pause the video now. Fantastic. So hopefully you've got those down and then you can mark. We're going to go through them now. So it was Cornish pasty, fish and chips, gravy, strawberries and cream, toad in the hole, haggis, bakewell tart, lobscouse, Melton Mowbray pork pie and Welsh rarebit. Some of them I'm sure you've definitely got, some of them you potentially haven't even heard of before, so by all means have a little bit of a Google and so you can do a little bit of research into those, but in your own time. So we've got to move on to the next task. So, top 5 British foods. What do you think they are? Just have a quick think. You don't have to write anything down. If you had to name the top 5 typically British foods, what would you write down? Fish and chips, maybe? So, fish and chips came about because of the development of trawl fishing in the North Sea and was one of the only foods to not be rationed in England during the Second World War. It's made by coating cod or haddock in batter and then deep frying until the batter is crispy and the fish is soft inside, so the fish almost kind of steams. Paired with chunky fried chips and a side of mushy peas, this has been a much loved meal in many households in England for years, and it's even better eaten by the seaside, rain or shine. So, number 2, bubble and squeak. So my bubble and squeak does not look like that, mine's much messier. But it might have lost its popularity over the last decade, but it still remains in the traditional English Food Hall of Fame for a couple of reasons. 1, it's an amazing way of using up leftovers, and 2, it's delicious. The recipe couldn't be simpler. If you've got any leftover cabbage or any vegetables, a mashed potato or roast potatoes or just potato of any kind, left over from a previously cooked meal, throw them in a pan with a tiny dollop of butter and stir until the cabbage begins to brown. Serve with a fried egg on top for a delicious and cheap brunch, and making good use of your leftovers. So, third one, bangers and mash. Mashed potato and sausages. Some of you might have this with veggie sausages, vegan sausages. Typically, they were usually pork and they were fried or cooked in the oven, served with a generous helping of mashed potato, made with lots of butter and milk. Traditionally, you'd also serve it with fried onions on top and then pour over some gravy. There's literally nothing more comforting when it's raining outside. Tip, a glass of red wine goes very nicely with this meal. That's a tip you can pass on to parents or carers. So, number 4 is a bread and butter pudding. So, decades ago, it was a meal that poorer families would have made from leftover stale bread, steaming the bread, layering it in a dish, adding sultanas or dried fruit, soaking it all in milk and then baking in the oven. Years later, it's seen as more of a dessert than a main meal, but because it's filling and warm, it's still hugely popular. And you can get loads of different kind of varieties of this. I've seen people make it with brioche, with croissants, with cinnamon rolls, to kind of pep it up a little bit. And number 5, roast dinner. So we couldn't tell you about traditional English meals without mentioning the humble roast dinner, consisting of roasted meat, mashed or roast potatoes, typically roast potatoes, vegetables, stuffing, Yorkshire puddings if it's with beef, and gravy. It was traditionally served as the main meal on Sundays, but really it can be eaten any day of the week. The beauty in the English roast dinner lies less in how it tastes, although it's obviously delicious, and more about what it resembles. It's a time for family and friends to get together, eat good food, and spend time together. It's at the heart of British cooking, and it's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know about you, but I love a roast dinner. So, this is just a quick, it's called an infographic or a pictogram, about the British Sunday roast. What we want you to do is answer the following questions using that information. You might find it quite difficult to see on the PowerPoint, so I have popped a link on Teams to this website where it's from. You can see it still looks quite small, but if you can see the kind of the arrow is a plus sign. If you click on it, it will actually zoom in so you can read it much easier, or just zoom in on your phone. So, where did carrots originate from? Why were horseradishes used for roast beef dishes? Where did green beans originate from? Explain the history of roast beef. Why have potatoes become such a popular part of British cuisine? And finally, write down one unusual fact about the origin of the Yorkshire pudding. Pause now to do those 6 questions. Fantastic. So, modern day Britain. This is an image, as you can see there, of a food hall that you might find in a shopping centre, airport, service station. First 2 questions, I just want you to list the different types of food outlet you've seen when you've been out and about, so different types of places you've been to. And question 2, what do you notice about the different types of food sold? How do they vary? Question 3, why do you think we have such a range of different food types to choose from? And question 4, historically, can you explain this? So have a little think about kind of geography lessons, it's a bit about kind of human movement and that kind of stuff, and some of your lessons that you do in mentor time, and that should help kind of focus you a little bit to answer those questions. And it's just that food hall again for you to see. So pause the video now so you can answer those questions, and then if you go back to Teams, there will be a final question there for you if there is time. Thank you very much, Year 7.